Hey everyone, I hope you had a nice week since my last post. This week I'm back again with another video post because I have some cool things to show. I think last week I did a big long update post about a couple of things I was getting started on. And I think I also mentioned that I would probably get started on the swamp this week, but unfortunately I haven't been able to get a hold of my friend. He's been busy with work. He's got a job that's pretty intense, and sometimes he's summoned into the job. Unfortunately, we still have one more meeting to do before we finalize the layout of the area. So in the meantime, I did this stuff here. I mentioned last week about the memory reflections. You can probably see over there something glistening in the corner. That is the new implementation, or the new idea of just adding a little more interest to the gameplay. It's not the only thing I want to try, but it's definitely one thing that I think adds a lot of value. It's just to lure people into points of interest, give them something to, something to keep their eye out for while they're exploring, and add a little bit more interest to the story as well, because I'll explain here how it works. But basically, you see these little things throughout the environment. I'm going to kind of pepper them through each of the environments, and you walk up to them, and it says there's a reflection of a memory. Do you want to collect it? And you say yes, and then he holds his hand out, and he gains this memory. You don't do anything with it during gameplay, but when you finish the level, the idea is that you sit at the campfire and reflect on all the memories. So I guess to kind of put it in the context of the world, it's sort of like as he's exploring, as the knight is exploring, things that he sees in the world, like, I don't know, these logs, for example, trigger memories from his past. And we can reflect on those memories at the campfire. So I'll show you that next here. So come to the campfire like we would, just like normal. And then here, usually you'd break a twig or a bone, a finger bone, and throw it into the fire, and that would be it. And then there'd be a scream in the distance, and that would be kind of the end of the scene. But I'm adding a little bit more purpose to the scene. Instead of it just being you sit here for a while, and then you get a jump scare. That may still happen in the future. But now you can use these memory reflections. The idea is that he actually breaks a piece of himself off. It throws it into the fire, and then now he can reflect on what he's collected, the memory reflection that he collected. And so I have this image here just as a stand-in. It's the messenger from the beginning of the game, and he appears in this cool kind of blue flame, like warbly look. So as you collect these, you'll have a few of them to kind of go through, to flip through during the scene. It should kind of tell a vague story or kind of show imagery that's interesting that the knight can reflect on, and the player can kind of think on and maybe draw some connections to maybe their interpretation of the story and have some cool narratives constructed through these images here. I think I'd do a better explanation in the post from last week. So if you want to read that to get a clear idea, maybe off the cuff, I'm not so good at explaining things, but that's kind of the idea. So you'd sift through a few of these. I only have one, so it's going to end the scene if I do it again. But you could sift through as many as you manage to collect during the scene. And then when you're done, it fades out in this particular scene and drops you off here, back at the this transition area that I showed a couple weeks ago. I think in my last video post actually was this. So yeah, that's generally how that'll work. And hopefully that'll be kind of a welcome addition to regular exploration, because you'll see, maybe you won't see them, but it'll encourage you to look for them. Because I'll make the first couple pretty obvious, and then after that, the player's going to want to be searching for them. So maybe that'll keep people from just rushing through the area, and it'll give a little more value to the exploration. I want to add more in general to the scenes, because a lot of people noted that it's just kind of walking. Walking simulator is a word that people bring up a lot when they talk about the first couple levels. And I agree, you do a lot of walking. In my case, I like to explore, so I'm usually looking at little corners and stuff, so I get a little more out of something like this. But I think your average player, they're wanting to get to certain things, get to the meat of things, maybe even looking for, where's the first enemy I get to beat up, stuff like that. So I want to add more to the areas in general. And that could come in the form of new set pieces, some more interesting level design, more interesting placement of objects. Who knows what that'll be. So yeah, these sparkly things, that's kind of a first effort in making the moment-to-moment gameplay a little more interesting. And so yeah, that's that for the memory reflections. I also worked on, let me load in the scene here. I also worked a little bit more on some new features that are going to be seen in the swamp area. If you saw my last video log, you noticed that there was something broken with the water ripples. They were just kind of stuck at 000 in the scene. They were just at the start there, just sitting there. It was just not working properly. And on top of that, it wouldn't work on NPCs or anything else that entered the water, just because I made it a while ago. So I just went through and reworked that because it's going to be an important part of the swamp, is being able to see things rippling in the water, enemies making splashes, and as well the player. So if I come down here, you can see that I also make ripples and it's following me. So it's just one of those little details in games that we take for granted, but you know, it takes a little bit of work to get that working. So everything's working nicely, and on top of everything, I get to see it, the NPCs creating their own ripples, which is something pretty cool. So any number of NPCs or any number of characters with the proper tag, when they enter water, they can have their own ripple. So yeah, simple thing, but since we're going to be in the swamp, in the water for most of the time, I'd feel ashamed if that wasn't working right off the bat. It should have been working a while ago, but I just kind of hacked it in there. Anyway, so that's cool enough, but one of the bigger items I worked on was actually these guys over here. In the swamp, there's going to be fungus growing there. And I will show the player through some kind of means of organic tutorializing that when they walk through the fungus, they get kind of an infected body. So the fungus spreads to them, so I'll show you. So it kind of poofs, and then now I have a fungus growing out of my back. And I'm also like, you know, I have spores and stuff coming off of me. Maybe it's a little tough to tell. Maybe I'll make that effect stronger. But at this point, I have some kind of ability. Hopefully it lasts long enough, but we'll... Oh, no. I almost got attacked by the NPC. Oh. Let me do it again. Basically, one of the mechanics for the spores is that it makes you kind of uninteresting for NPCs. So now if I walk in front of the NPC, he doesn't really take any notice because I don't know, I'm infected. So you can walk around them and stuff. I think you can touch them too. Yeah, you can push them around. But as soon as the effect wears off, I believe. Let's see. I think then they'll start getting interested in, yeah. Start beating you up. Oh. So that's like part of the mechanic for the spores. Another element to it will just be kind of puzzle solving as well. So there might be puzzles where you'll have to grab some spores on your character, and you'll have to make it across a certain area you couldn't get across before. There's going to be areas of danger in the swamp that we haven't seen yet. I won't spoil too much of it. Also, we haven't really planned that much about it yet, so it's all in the works. But now we have this new mechanic where you can collect these spores, and you can collect a few of them. Actually, let me actually add another fungus. It might be cool to see like a few on the player. Okay, so just add a couple more funguses here. Okay, so now we have a couple fungi to walk through. And I'll get 3 and we'll see what that looks like if I get 3 funguses on me. It's kind of on a delay there. Yeah, so you can kind of see the effect of the smoke gets stronger. I think. Maybe that's not true. No, it does. Yeah, it does. The effect of the spores get stronger, and also you get more like fungus growing out of your back, which is kind of cool looking. And yeah, in later areas there'll be infected NPCs as well, and they'll have different mechanics with them as well. So it's a whole thing. The fungus is going to become a bigger part of the game. I've been meaning to add the fungus in the game for a while. If you remember from the first demo, we see this like carcass of a horse kind of being eaten by these bugs. But the idea is that he's been like there should be fungus growing out of him, and this is kind of a fungal infection. So maybe we'll see this horse in a later area, maybe in the castle town, when we start seeing a lot more of the fungus growing everywhere. This isn't quite what it'll look like. Like the fungus will have a lot more features to it. It'll have like tendrils and moving elements and stuff, but this is just the test area, so it just looks kind of simple there, just the fungus. If you look at my last post, the big long text one, I have a link there to a video where I kind of dressed up the scene a little more with the spores and the fungus. That's kind of more the look I'm going for with the infected areas, the fungally infected areas. So yeah, that's pretty much what I did last week. I worked on the reflections, the memory reflections. That took a little while. Then I worked on this water. That was actually pretty quick to do. And then the fungus. Anyway, so yeah, I feel like a pretty productive week. I've got a couple good days in there of work. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to get all this stuff kind of plugged into the next new area. Hopefully that'll be coming along soon. I just have to wait for my friend to be available so we can have our final meeting and I can start getting to work on the level. So yeah, hopefully that was interesting. I don't know how coherent I was. It's kind of early. I might have a follow-up text in the description of what my plans on for next week are, because I can't. I had to look at my Trello to see what's up next. Probably just hopefully I can start working on the map, the swamp map, and we can actually start playing around in the swamp. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So anyway, that's it for this week. Kind of a quick little show and tell. So but hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching and take care.